Hello and welcome to the midweek edition of Jpournalist Hangout, your number one news and current affairs program. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, price of petrol rises further over continued scarcity in major cities across Nigeria amidst kidnap of more than 50 passengers in fresh Niger attack. President Buhari declared Zamfara State a no-fly zone. As Group 6, designation of bandits, kidnappers for children as terrorists, and later on the show, ports of trucks as authority introduced electronic calling system. I'll be hanging out with Lekon Shote and Emeka Madunagu. If you're ready, let the hangout start now. Despite assurances from governments and regulatory authorities, all marketers continue to sell petrol at higher prices in different parts of Nigeria. Meanwhile, organized labor is mobilizing against hoarding and price hike. So, should Nigerians brace up for another price hike? Emeka, this has been ongoing since last week. We've been seeing petrol stations, queues there, and traffic all around Lagos right now. It's so ridiculous. And at the initial stage, we called it panic buying. People were just panicking that those people, they had enough supplies, and NNPC came out and told us that, look, there will not be any attempt to increase the prices of this petroleum product. But then it's becoming clear now that something is wrong somewhere.
Of course. Well, I think the information management has not been really very good. I mean, in terms of NNPC letting Nigerians know what the situation is. Because NNPC is saying that, okay, that ex-depot price will not increase in March. Exactly at the same time where marketers have been saying that these things have gone up, this price has gone up, that things are no longer the same. So there is a disconnect somewhere. And then again, of course, the Nigerian system is such that what goes up hardly ever comes down. So marketers usually cash in on any opportunity to hike price, to hoard. We've not been able to fully implement anti-hoarding laws in this country. I don't even know if we have any effective laws against hoarding. So all you hear, DPR boasting, talking that they will do this, they will do that, but you just see people in different sectors are alone to themselves. So we have been told that, okay, we're in a deregulated system, all right, so that prices will be determined by market forces, which is interesting. But the other side of it is this. Government says it won't pay subsidy in one breath. Government comes back again to say, well, okay, it will make sure it monitors the price and all that. It monitors developments in the industry. So where are we standing? Where do we go from here? Who is suffering? It's the ordinary Nigerian, because what it means is that as oil prices continue to rise in the international market, that will reflect back home, and which is not a very tidy development for us, because we're just coming out of COVID-19, which led to job losses, which impacted the economy severely. So many businesses were disrupted, disorganized. Some businesses were even destroyed. So I think government needs to really look at this whole situation much more closely. It's not enough for the Minister of State for Petroleum, Timi Presiva, to just talk, just matter-of-factly about the regulation. You should consider the fact that the people who bear the brunt of whatever hikes, whatever price increases there are the ordinary people. Now, we've heard, repeated campaigns about these low prices, that Nigeria has one of the lowest prices of oil in the world, which has never been justified. That is one. And then that actually the ordinary man on the street, is not really impacted by these prices. But the question is this: what is power supply like? Who are those you see carrying jerry cans to the filling stations? Do you see people with limousines or SUVs or private jets going to filling stations to go and buy fuel to power their generators? So this power supply situation is dismal, it's bad, it's a total disaster. People still have to fall back their generators. Then you have, movement of goods and services is majorly by road. Look at diesel has gone to 250. Yes, you can say a lot of the people who use diesel are actually, do so for business.
Truck drivers.
Truck drivers and all of that, factories, industries, and people in that sector. But when you come to a premium motor spirit, it's not like that. A lot of people buy petrol for domestic use. It's not like this, where, of course, they can just transfer the cost to the people who buy their products, who use their services. So, in talking about raising for a price hike, it's already there. It's already there. People are already buying fuel in jerry cans at 400 naira per liter in Abuja. In many places they can't find. Somebody was even saying that at a filling station with an NNPC logo on Airport Road, that the people dispensing fuel refuse to sell for anything to anyone who wanted to buy above 5,000 naira. That so all of these things.
When you substantiate that,
well, it's a journalist. The person who said he's a journalist who lives in Abuja. But the issue is this. That's even one case. You find it replicated in different places, different dispensing points, at different filling stations. You see people. You see the fuel, petrol attendants. They are a law unto themselves, just doing what they like. Now, do we need these queues again? No. I remember the PA to the president on the new media, Bashir Ahmad. Sometime in December, he was saying, "Okay, this is the end of the year." He says on Twitter, "This is the end of the year. No fuel queues. That this is history." Well, this is March. So what has happened to the history? Has it suddenly evaporated into the air? What has happened to the fuel queues? Why are they back now? The government must let Nigerians know what they have to face. And then they must also face reality. Because if fuel goes to, a newspaper some days ago was saying that the price of fuel might get to 230. But if the price of fuel gets to 230, how many Nigerians can afford it? How long? How elastic is the patience of Nigerians?
Looking at it from the point of view that so many things are tied, to this, the PMS in Nigeria, in a situation where you power your generator, you use for vehicular movement, and so many activities tied to, the price of that PMS. And what happened last year, was it last year or 2 years ago, it's kind of unprecedented. From 89 naira or 90 naira went to 100 and something, and somebody said, as in, a lot of people felt that, after that exercise, we will enjoy at least some years of stability in that sector.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources said last year, January, in not so many words, but if you can read his lips, he was saying that any change, any movement of the needle, crude oil is going to be reflected. And the Minister for Information and Culture also said the same thing as far back as 2019. And some of us have been happy that, the price of crude seems to be jumping up now. Certainly it will be reflected. What we need to remember is this. So two things.
If the price of crude is moving up,
it's going to affect the product. Yeah. You see, as long as we are not going to run our refineries,
we still have to take to Venezuela to refine.
There's somebody that is even, each time I hear somebody say that we now kind of do, if you tell me counter trade, I may, but if you say we sell our crude to another country, we incur costs to whereas they have crude in those countries. Why don't you just buy the finished product and bring it instead of telling me all these? I just think somebody has problems with that. I don't understand why I want to first load a cost to crude to go to somewhere, and then another cost of bringing it back. And then you are telling me that you don't want to subsidize. And you are doing something that doesn't really make sense.
Like what?
Sending crude out for somebody to, and then you bring it out, bring it back again. Why don't you just buy the finished product straight? Now, if you want to pay with crude, let us know that that's what you want to do. But if you are talking about that your costing is already determined by your foolishness, by foolish policy. But that's not even the point I want to make is this, that because we are unable to produce our own petroleum products, we are subject to two things. Number one, exchange rate. I'm sure you know how much the dollar is now. From last year and up to this point. Or if you want to go back to 2015 December, when it jumped from 199 to about 300. And then you know what it is now. And each time I'm thinking, I'm not looking at central bank rate. I'm looking at the black market rate all the time. So two things that affect Nigeria's economy: exchange rate and petroleum products. We have no control over either of them. Over the two.
I read it somewhere today that £1 is not 670 naira.
Are you not?
Wow.
£1.
678 naira.
Wow. Can you just imagine?
That used to be, I recall as a student in the 80s abroad, 42 kobo, 39 kobo was going for $1. That's how it was. I think you have
I have a phone call.
Okay.
All right.
Good evening, Nayo.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, my name is Ken Kwokes and Kingsley. I am calling you from Ituba in Imo State.
Okay.
The major challenge we're having today is that government of the day doesn't want to be sincere with Nigerians. If you're talking about deregulation, why don't you be very sincere about it? The former governor of Imo State once said, sacrifice a little and enjoy forever. Nigerians are ready to make the sacrifice only and only if the government is sincere to make their own part of the bargain. Because like one of your guests said there, fuel is one of the best things we can enjoy in Nigeria today. We have a plenty power supply in the country today. And virtually every business that is done in Nigeria, by every common man in this Nigeria, deserves petroleum. And it is quite unfortunate that this God-given product, Nigerians are getting it on a very high side. What is the reason? You tell me you deregulated, and up to this moment, this thing is happening. NNPC and the government bodies are still the ones to regulate the price of fuel. It is quite unfortunate, and we don't even have the good tax force to even checkmate some of these filling stations all over the country. Everybody does whatever he or she likes at the expense of common citizens of this country.
Thank you for your contribution. That's Kesandu from Imo State. So let me allow you to finish your submission.
Yeah. Now, government wants to stay in the midst of this thing. Now, if the federal government, NNPC, goes into retail of petroleum products, you had better have what I might call a monopoly of supply. That is the only way you can effectively control the prices.
Not to give it to major marketers after bringing it in.
Independent marketers.
And then you now have some token petroleum NNPC stations on the Abuja airport road, and say you are trying to, you are not going to do anything. Listen, I made a call to Abuja before I came because I kept hearing ridiculous prices for petrol in Abuja. 400 naira, 500 naira. So I made a call.
Per liter?
Best, yes, sir. And then my contact told me that he got in touch with the depot at Suleja. They have petrol.
So what's happening?
Very good. I just told you, exchange rate is going up and down. It's fleeting. Federal government itself does not have a handle. And then the National Assembly is now talking about the PIGB. Nobody knows how that will end. So people are playing and expecting that they want to make as much money as they can as at now. So they create artificial scarcity. Have you heard that there's a debate between the woman and the ape man? They are taking different positions. You understand? So that tells you there's a confusion somewhere. And just as the caller was trying to hint, the federal government itself does not even know where it's going about this. Do you want to subsidize or do you not want to subsidize? You are speaking from both sides of your mouth and nobody is clear about it. The public affairs manager spoke about last week. I still couldn't get exactly what he was saying. It was not clear. So I believe very strongly that this government needs to make up its mind. Now, when I say this government, it doesn't necessarily mean the government must make up its mind what it wants to do. I think government should quickly get out of refinery and importation of petroleum products and let the market.
What do you mean by out of refinery?
Are we running refineries now? Some people are getting paid for running refineries. They are getting paid, they are getting leave bonus, they are getting training allowance, they are getting training allowance, they are getting salaries, they are getting everything, and they are not producing. So why are they there?
It has been like that for years.
So we should stop it. I understand if the government wants to stay on the offshore aspect of the business, fine, I understand that. But you cannot be punishing us and subsidizing some individuals who are not doing anything, from the group banking director to the last man, on the totem pole. None of them is doing anything, and you are paying them, and you maintain them. You are paying NEPA bill, you are paying all kind of bills for people who are not producing anything. You are subsidizing them, and the government says it's not subsidizing. Those people that you are paying for nothing, what are you doing with them? Are you not subsidizing them? And then they say I say we have 3.5 refineries in this country. Nothing is working, and you still maintain those. For what? What is the purpose? Is that a social system program or what? What is it? Are you subsidizing? What are you doing with those guys there? Since they are not producing anything, you have DPR that is talking about other things. Then you have an NPC doing what? Just merely importing. Something is wrong.
Emeka, we are waiting anxiously for Dangote to convert that refinery as a country, and I don't think the federal government is nursing any ambition to start building its own refinery.
It's not only Dangote. I mean, there's already a refinery. I think it's running in Imo State. I think the one in Edo State, somewhere near Benin. I think it's running or is about, it's
the modular ones.
Yeah, the modular refineries, Yes, but Dangote has put up a condition. That's only those who have refinery licenses that should actually be allowed to import. But the question, somebody asked today, to import petroleum products. There's only those, because right now it's a bazaar, it's an open thing. NNPC has monopoly, but sometimes in the past it was a bazaar, just open. If you had the right connections, you could import anything. So,
as at that time, it was subsidized.
Yeah, it was heavily subsidized. So now, Dangote is saying that it's only those who have refinery licenses that should be allowed to import fuel. And then that brings up the question that if you have refinery license, if you have a license to refine locally, why should you not be talking about importing? And then placing a charge on Nigeria's low foreign reserves. So I believe the federal government by now should have put up those refineries on international bids, or use those refineries to negotiate the upgrade of certain infrastructure by China.
What happened to some of these players that were given licenses?
Were they qualified to be given licenses? It's the same thing with the discos. You see the discos, it was a bazaar, it was a jamboree. At the end of the day, have the owners of the discos been able to prove technical competence? Have they been able to show that they really deserve to get those licenses? So the question arises that even if we can wait for Dangote forever, we can wait for the modular refineries. But see, if the conditions for them to operate at a profit, don't forget these are businesses. They are not government departments. They are not government agencies. Now, if the conditions are not right for them to operate at a profit, of course, they will go and look for something else to do. Don't forget that Dangote started a tomato processing factory somewhere, was in Kano, and the whole thing folded up. So it's not as if maybe you expect that he will allow himself go into bankruptcy because Nigeria is expecting him to, roll out petrol, roll out PMS, roll out petroleum products, and then destroy himself financially. No businessman does that. So the conditions must be right. We must remove this issue, petrol, from the political patronage basket. It must go. If we want to run it as a business, let it run as a business, so that we know how to adjust. Nigerians know how to adjust. And then, if we continue to have a poor transport, a transport sector that's not operating optimally, have poor power supply and other areas that are just not up to scratch, then I don't know how we're going to get out of the situation.
Oh, finally, a lot of people say, what's the role of NNPC in all this? Several people, before now, there's always this agitation about, scrapping of NNPC and, replacing it. And a lot of people will also say, no, that's not the best move. But the way NNPC is performing now, are you in any way impressed?
You want me to repeat myself? Now, Ayo, listen, let's look at what looks like a success story in Nigeria. Telecommunications.
What looks like
a success story in Nigeria?
Not a success story.
Well, I need to qualify, because when you compare to other climes, okay, I think we could get something better. But okay, you could see that there's some people created the telecommunications industry from scratch. When they bid for the rights to set up GSMs in 2001.
2001.
MTN, maybe I shouldn't mention names,
okay,
but they set up, whereas there was NITEL or MTEL on the side, they were allowed to operate. Initially, we were buying GSM cards at 40 something,
yes,
then it came to 25, then now I think you can get it for 100 naira now.
100 naira, yes.
Do you understand?
100 naira,
so if we're going to suffer for some time, let it be so. You see, we just as the guy say, when you begin to act as if government must maintain or run the commanding heights of certain industries, you are just creating monopoly for some people in government, just for them to be eating for nothing. You have just asked a question, NNPC, what is NNPC doing? What is the job of NNPC? What is the job of DPR? Why do you have NNPC when we have DPR that can come up with policy positions? What is NNPC doing? NNPC is supposed to run the refineries. If it's going to run, then let it close shop. Then the offshore aspect of it, let's create what, if you want to even retain NNPC, let's face the offshore part of the business, which is not even in their hands. They have to partner with IOCs anyways, provide their own funds for the JV, and they do the technical thing, and then where is our own? And then they do that for us.
That's
it's just a connection, that's all. So just collect that and leave that. But the refinery, leave refinery alone. Let whoever has the technical and financial competence to do it, let them do it.
Should we discard those refineries?
If I'm not an engineer. If people find out that they can be usable, somebody can take them, not concession, buy them off.
Okay, we'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Jpournalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this time out. Stay with us. It's your number one news and current affairs program, reaching you live from TVC News. And another round of abduction is rocking Niger State. This time, abduction of more than 50 passengers in fresh attacks by bandits. This is coming on the heels of declaration of no-fly zone and banning of mining in Zamfara State as part of effort to quell insecurity in the region. Now, let's start from this. After the release of 271 girls yesterday, it's now one day, one trouble in that region. Now, in Niger State, 50 passengers abducted. This is becoming a booming industry, a thriving industry, because we don't know at what cost the federal government, or the state government secured the release of those girls.
They say it was magnanimity,
the bandits,
combated bandits that helped them to convince this guy to release the girls.
Okay, so they're not repentant after their magnanimity. So they've gone for, they are now,
Exactly.
they pressed forward and
remember Gumi gives the impression that there are several bands, independent groups. So it will be one group that did one, another group thought, okay, and maybe information had gone to them that even though there was no golden handshake, there was also a golden handshake. I'm sure you understand my English. So they have now, the franchises, there are several franchises.
Expanding, yes.
So
the sector has been deregulated.
Thank you very much. So everybody is independent and they can work with the person who's holding the purse, even though the game is to deny that you gave them money, and then the president will now congratulate you and congratulate the children who are freed.
So non-state actors,
yes,
holding
because
the
it doesn't cost you
into
money.
ransom.
Because it doesn't cost you money to buy guns. It doesn't cost you money to buy vehicles or motorbikes or fuel the cars to go and kidnap people. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Therefore, you don't ask for any ransom. I'm sure you understand the English.
You're speaking. Now, this where do we go from here? It's becoming alarming and embarrassing that every day we have to deal with fresh stories, news reports. I'm sure it's not everything that is happening in that region that is reported in the media.
Yeah.
So that means kidnapping it's
Somebody
just
was,
be going, it's just going to be
was saying that
a free for all.
even today in Osun State, something has happened.
Yes, some passengers were kidnapped. One was shot dead.
That's right.
Somewhere
in Osun State,
Yes,
Southwest.
in Osun State.
That's right.
So it's unfortunate. I think we're just joking with, we're just playing politics with an existential threat. This is something that can wreck the nation. Insecurity, where criminals are allowed to go to just was it overnight? Some criminals were said to have broken into the home of a commissioner in Sokoto State and kidnapped some members of his household. It's getting that bad. Okay. If you remember sometime last year, where Jide was talking about, was it last year of 2019, where he was talking about the situation in Taraba, that it was so bad that they would just knock on people's doors and ask them to open the door, come out, and they'll go with them.
I hope you know what's happening in Somalia, as well as in Libya.
What the Al-Shabaab guys are.
What you have is warlords holding territories. Do you understand? It appears to me that very soon we may be dealing with something like that. Warlords with guns and holding territories. I'm sure you heard that, I think...
but in this, I want to ask you, yes, the federal government has declared, President Buhari has declared Zamfara as a no-fly zone.
No-fly zone.
And then
the press secretary, Garba, told you about 2 or 3 days ago that there's information that some people were flying aircraft to drop.
But the bandit said, but there was a bandit that said so in August 2019.
Do you understand? So
did anybody listen to that person?
I wasn't surprised to hear anything like that. You see, as far as I'm concerned, I think we need to speak. Let's not be pretending on this program here. We need to speak to the northern political establishment. This is the time for them to face the issue squarely in the eye. I'm talking about the northern political establishment. I'm not hiding behind one finger. They should identify the problems. Listen, I was listening to the governor of Katsina the other day, former Speaker of the House. He says it's terrible that victims that are being kidnapped are northerners. The people who are kidnapping the people are northerners. And the people who are running the security apparatus of government are northerners. Don't you think I will expect him to call people, his fellow governors, northern governors forum? I will expect him to find a way. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a meeting of northern governors as well as stakeholders. Yes. What came out of it? We don't know what happened. Again, I call on the northern political establishment. This is for them to stand up. To stand up, not be making praises. Let them face the issue squarely. Whatever it is, I think there is supposed to be what you might call a Marshall Plan for the north of Nigeria. Somebody says yesterday to me that the economy of the north is essentially agrarian. It is not, and it is unhinged, almost unhinged from the economy of the South that is relatively, we can say, industrialized. But you and I, we are pretending to be industrialized in the South, southern part of Nigeria. But we know we have industries and all that. But essentially, the northern economy is essentially agrarian. There's no pretense about that. Now, there's a lot of, someone says, well, they are ungoverned space. Then somebody said, if you go into those spaces that you call ungoverned, the owner of those lands will show up. The district heads that we call the Southwest here will show up. If you go into those so-called ungoverned spaces, that we keep saying ungoverned. In that case, there will be no DPO to monitor security in those areas, in those bushes, in Beningwari, in Sambisa Forest, or wherever else. However, there's a local government chairman. And don't forget that the Constitution of Nigeria lists 774 local governments.
Yes.
So they are known. The states are known. They are listed in the Constitution of Nigeria. The local governments are listed. Even the local government headquarters are listed in the Constitution. So how can you tell me that there's what do you call it?
No fly.
That there's ungoverned space. What is the meaning of that? In that case, Section 14 of Nigeria Constitution says security is job number 1 of the government. Secure those places. To start with, what is the job of the commander-in-chief if he's not going to secure our lives? What is the job of the National Security Advisor, the Minister of Defense, who is now abdicating his responsibility and telling us to go and fight with people who invade our privacies? What is their job? And then somebody retires or forcibly has to go, use them out of being in the position of Chief of Army Staff, and then comes to go to the National Assembly and tell them that for the next 20 years there will be no solution to Nigeria's security. What were you intending to do in the last 5 years when you were Chief of Army Staff? That means he was lying all along, and then they now confirmed him, they made him ambassador to some other place. I wish they would send him to Syria to go and be the ambassador to Syria, where he's facing ISIS and the rest of them.
So, Emeka, when you finally on this, when you want to look at, let's provide solution, and looking at this situation, and will you get a point to say, oh, we want to advise government, should they deploy the use of force or dialogue?
We all know the scriptures say, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. We are just joking with the truth. We know what the truth is. A bandit said that they're being supplied weapons by government officials. Who are the government officials?
Substantiate that. That's
okay, fine. In the United Arab Emirates, some Bureau de change operators were convicted. And prosecutors named a government official who was said to be supplying them, who was said to be going through them to supply finances, funds to Boko Haram. What has happened to that government official? At least these were court documents. Court documents.
I don't know about that.
It was publicized. No, it was publicized last year.
We're talking about solution now.
Yes, I'm going to that. The issue is this: government must speak the truth to itself about this situation. It's getting out of hand. In 2019, a bandit on video said that when he was much younger, that he saw aircraft dropping guns tied with ropes, while he was under the tutelage of one bandit. Even in Kankara, in this place where they kidnapped those schoolboys, in Kankara, and he really gave a graphic description about what was going on. That was in August 2019. Now, government is confirming in March 2021 that truly these things are happening. How can aircraft, unidentified aircraft, come into our airspace? And
you're still not talking about solution.
Yeah, I'm going to. How is it possible?
I asked you directly.
No, how is it possible? How is it possible? Somebody's lying somewhere. We need to face the truth. That's what I've told you. We need to face the truth, the reality of the situation. How can aircraft fly into our airspace, and then people say, government, the president's spokesman is saying that they heard. Two, we must deal with this banditry as terrorism. It's not banditry, maybe stealing yams or stealing plantain. This is an existential threat to Nigeria. So those bandits must be declared as terrorists, and government must use the full weight of the law. They bring the hammer down and make sure, give itself a timeline. It's not just about warning bandits and go the full hog. Deploy the military. Has the chief of army staff has said that the new chief of army staff has said that the armed forces, they are capable of dealing with security threats in the country. So I believe that they should be allowed to actually go in, working with local people, with vigilantes, with the state governors, with traditional rulers, with district heads, deal with these people. And let me tell you, some of these people also are said to be foreigners. Where are they coming in from? We must plug those loopholes. And our borders are closed borders. If we need to take some unconventional steps to push these people back, we shouldn't shy away from it.
Thank you for the solutions. You preferred finally. Look at there. The Murik, that's like I forgot to cancel.
Okay.
They've actually called
that man is always wearing a scarf.
It's prof. Okay. They called for President Barry to declare these bandits as terrorists outrightly.
Ayo, he's a terrorist. In most cases, terrorists probably have the positive message that they are trying to promote. You want to deodorize these people. And you think that terrorist is a dangerous word, right? These people are criminals. I beg to disagree with Sheikh Gumi. These people let him come out and say that people are terrorists or criminals. Let him come and say it again. Say these are pure criminals and they must be dealt with. You throw the books at them. Police should be prosecuting them in court. They should be sending to jail. And they kill people. They should be hanged. But instead you are talking to as if they're terrorists, you are trying to make them look as if they have a mission. What is their mission? These are common bandits. They are just armed robbers. Don't we have laws against armed robbery in this country anymore? Don't we have a law against murder in this country anymore? Don't we have law against kidnapping anymore in this country? And then we start to pretend. These are some of the things that I'm talking about. Listen, let's face the issues squarely and deal with it. And let Murik, what do you call his name, be more. Let it. A spade is a spade. It is not an agricultural implement.
Thank you, Lekon. All right. Sanity is gradually returning to Apapa Seaport in Lagos, the busiest in Nigeria. A new electronic call-up system introduced by the Nigeria Port Authority (NPA) allowed the Lagos State Special Task Force team to clear trucks causing traffic gridlock in the upper axis. But will this bring the desired solution? Let's share this by TVC's correspondent Ifunaya Ize with you.
The Apapa Port Corridor was devoid of traffic earlier in the day when TVC news crew came around the port vicinity. Trucks that were formerly resident on the bridge had disappeared. Getting into the Lily Pond Truck Transit Park, a chance meeting with the coordinator of the electronic call-up system provided an opportunity to see the control room and get more details about the workings of the electronic call-up system.
All the booking is done by the truck owner. You book the parks by the truck owner. When the truck wants to move from a park to a pre-gate, it's done by the agent, because the agent knows the cargo and knows where the trucks are parked. So he matches them, then they come to a pre-gate. So at every point, all the driver gets is text. Move to a park, move to a pre-gate, and at the pre-gate, when you're ready to, he gets a text, move to the ports.
Concerns over possible network failure and other impediments that could sabotage the system were expressed.
The only fear I have is for the system to be working perfectly, since it's electronic call-up, because you won't see the person you are interfacing with. Your own is to stand by your system or your phone and be doing whatever you want to do. So if there is network, I think the thing will go faster. But if there is no network, it will not go faster.
As later, officials of the Lagos State government toured the port environment. They questioned the preparedness of the truck transit park management.
The Lily Pond Truck Park that is being managed by TTP is gradually getting ready. So he told us some impediment that is actually mitigating against its actualization. So with the team and the police, ably led by Commissioner of Police Odumusu, supported by area commander, we went there. He read the Riot Act
even as reports of extortion were alleged.
I don't see why illegal toll gates must scrimp up in the first instance. Unfortunately, those people that are collecting that money are the least expected to be doing so. And then the commissioner of police, we have handed over that enforcement to him.
The electronic truck call-up system is being applauded as a welcome development, but it however requires proper coordination to be effective, without which the chaotic situation in port would persist. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News, Lagos.
Gentlemen, will this be too early to congratulate the Lagos State government on this giant strike, but then can they sustain it? Can we sustain it? Because that's the question. APAPA has been a problem that it has been there for years, and all sort of committees, and I'm sure somebody like Dr. Kaide Opoefana will be very, very happy and elated. That's the thing they've labored for over time that is coming to fruition. Now, looking at the situation now, this call-up system, how can we sustain it to make sure that at the end of the day, we are not back to square one?
All problems are human problems. I think if Abafan said that man is at the same time the beneficiary of the actions of man. When man solves problems, it is for man. And what I'm trying to say is that it is human beings. It is not as if there was no solution, no ideas in the past. They may not have been as technology driven as we have right now. But you heard somebody quickly telling us right there that, well, if there is no network leakage, if somebody is unable to charge his phone, as Emeka had noted earlier on, that energy is a problem. Do you understand? And then if this thing called corruption does not rear its head, and then somebody begins to think that, the technology is sitting down there, but you can decide that even though Emeka came first before you, because you are his in-law, he will find a way to call you ahead of Emeka, and then they can see that happening, and then the thing will start all over again. If we are able to resolve the human problem, that is the bigger problem. It's not about technology. It is human beings. Listen, as an accountant, I know there's something called internal control in accounts. But the human beings that run the internal control, once they break the thing, that is the end of the whole show. No matter what system you install, once the human beings that will run that system collapse, that is the end of it. That is the end of it. And then, once Lagos State is involved, federal government is involved, several agencies are involved, people are not going to cooperate with themselves, and there's no one single person who can make a final decision.
No, I think this is solely a Lagos State issue.
Solely a Lagos
No, but with the federal government.
No. The federal government actually handed over.
The federal government
handed over.
Lagos government does not own the authority.
This decongestion is
I
the responsibility of the Lagos State government. That is led by this SA Transport.
Yes, but there's a limit to
There's a limit to your authority.
Federal
It is a federal institution that you are dealing with.
They met
as
with
soon
the
as they
ND of MPM with the Lagos State government.
I know that. Listen, I read the whole. Listen, let's just say is in charge of the Post Authority. That's a federal agency, and you are the governor of Lagos State, and you have asked somebody to organize this, and then you are the governor of you have called number 3 on the line to go to the port to collect his cargo, right? And he gets there, and then they are wasting his time.
I want to believe that there will be synergy.
There ought to be synergy, because if you listen to the lamentation of importers, you see them 2 months, 3 months, they've not been able to pay their goods.
The thing will be counting.
And the money is counting. The money is counting. You find that there are customers who have paid for this goods, and they are waiting. They need these things to maybe run their factories or run their businesses or put these things in their shops, and they cannot. And prices of things keep going up. So we really need to walk the talk. I mean, the SA on transport raised a very important point. Who are those who run these illegal checkpoints? Why would people pay made by government openly, brazenly carry out actions to thwart government objectives, I think something is wrong there. I mean, for him to have said that the Commissioner of Police is here, is it that the Commissioner of Police didn't see those illegal checkpoints? Is he not aware of those illegal checkpoints? These things have been said for years, about illegal checkpoints, that these checkpoints constitute a major part of the problem at the ports. And then that there are too many government agencies at the ports. Some of these agencies will remove from port. They have no business at the port. They have no business at the port. And then the presence of the role of customs to be defined. Are they supposed to be at the borders, on the highways, or in the market? Why are they just to be everywhere? You don't make people live their life or do business in an atmosphere of fear. Yeah. So I commend the Lagos State government. I also commend Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. He played a very strong role at the time. Then Babajide Sanwo-Olu, it been noted that he made this as a promise, and he has fulfilled the promise. But I hope he will not rest on his laurels. He will not, like typical Nigerian politicians, just slip off. Okay, we've cleared the ports. All right, everybody can go on a holiday. They must sustain the momentum, and then the network has to work. We have different sources of power supply. So nothing must make the network to go down. They should have a dedicated, a dedicated unit to power whatever systems are there. That's right. Look, this country can work. If those who are entrusted with running this country allow it to work.
We can now say even the landlords and the residents within the Apapa, they will kind of hear a sigh of relief, because most houses in Apapa you just see for sale. In the last 3-4 years, everybody wants to live Apapa.
I'm sure you know a place called Maza, and you know a place called Maltu. Between Maza and Maltu, shouldn't take you more than max 5-10 minutes. It took me 4 hours. I was sweating inside an air-conditioned car. That's number one. From Jora Beach that leads to Wharf Road. Getting down by that police station, by Point Road, when the trucks park, you get down in your car and go and take Okada, because vehicles are not moving. That is what is driving people out of that place. That's why people are selling their cars. Maybe now, their houses, I'm sorry. So maybe now, but Ayo, I said something.
That's good.
Close back in about 3 months' time. Let's see what has happened. Let your correspondent go back to the port in 3 months' time, and let's see what is happening in ports.
Okay.
For my own sake, and for our own sake, I wish it works well. I really would commend them, but I am skeptical. That's my training as a journalist.
Many thanks, Lekon Shete. Many thanks for your objective analysis. Thank you.
Very much.
And then, Iche Mika Hamadunagu. Thank you for your contribution. And that's Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight. This repeat broadcast tonight by 11. And don't forget to join Journalist Hangout on Sunday, 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Yes, 2 hours of bumper package. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. God bless Nigeria.